the new platform that data science has introduced into the market, and that's the ability to use telemetry to record sympathetic nerve activity. In my opinion, this is an approach that people have been trying to use for decades, but haven't been able to implement the approach to record sympathetic nerve activity over long periods of time. Using conventional recordings where we're simply looking at one time point isn't going to give us that insight. But doing chronic recordings of sympathetic nerve activity now changes our whole approach as far as what nerves we're going to target, and then furthermore, what central circuitry we're going to target that's controlling these different end organs. And that would have been very difficult to do prior to this technology being developed. By performing these blood pressure, heart rate measurements, and sympathetic nerve activity measurements at both the day cycle and the night cycle in conscious animals, we're able to get a lot of information that we can't get ordinarily through any other platform system. And again, this leads to greater precision, greater accuracy, and better experiments.
A lot of their products are considered the gold standard in our, especially in the world of hypertension research. And so the products are extremely reliable and consistent, and that's how it's elevated the level of the science to that standard, so that then it gives a higher integrity of data in that way.
I needed an animal preparation that was unanesthetized, awake, freely behaving, untethered, so we could get normal behaviors. And this is where I selected the DSI system, and it has proven to be a workhorse for us. And we've been able to make significant strides in addressing conditions that can delay onset of seizures and help us to predict seizures. There were hypotheses I needed to test, and I could only do it in the intact animal. And so by using, in this case, the quad ET transmitter, because I think it's pretty unique in that it allows you to measure 4 biopotentials, as well as body temperature and animal movements. We're able to measure simultaneously brain activity, cardiovascular activity, and respiratory activity, so we can look at the integrative system in this animal that is free from confounding effects of anesthesia.
Compared to what was previously possible to measure blood pressure in an animal, you couldn't measure pulmonary blood pressure in a conscious, freely moving animal. We had to use tail cuff to measure blood pressure. Tail cuff, you have to restrain the animal, and it's stressful for the animal, and you can only measure the pressure maybe once per day. But with telemetry, you can do it constantly, and the animal can be unrestrained. For us, the HDS-21 is really helpful to be able to measure 2 pressures at the same time, because it allows us to determine whether or not a drug is acting on the systemic vasculature, the pulmonary vasculature, or both at the same time. And it allows us to do it in a conscious animal, which was not previously possible to do. As far as reproducibility, the quality of the data is excellent and fits our needs.
Number one, probably reduce the number of animals you need for an experiment because you have less variability with the telemetry. Allow you to look at responses 24 hours a day, which is very important because you see things manifested at night or in times when you might not be there. They have fortunately produced the very user-friendly devices that allow you to collect data in mice and rats while they're in their laboratory environments without handling, without even being in the room.